Let's get started with today's story. 7 years. 7 solid years of marriage, and I never thought I'd find myself staring at a side of my wife, Emma, that I never knew existed. We met in college, and from day one, she was all I could think about. I had loved her fiercely, built a life around her, and trusted her with my whole heart. Little did I know that trust would be shaken so completely that I'd never see the world the same way again. It all started so innocently, I suppose. One Friday night, she came home looking unusually excited. She sat across from me at the dinner table, her eyes practically sparkling. "You'll never guess," she said with a smile. "Guess what?" I asked, amused by her excitement. "Lily thinks I should join her gym. She says it's exactly what I need to shake things up, to get out of this, I don't know, this feeling of being stuck. Something different. Maybe it'll even be fun," she said, shrugging. Now, Emma and I had always been a bit more introverted. We liked our quiet dinners, movie nights, and lazy weekends. But I figured there was no harm in her joining a gym. Besides, it's healthy, right? "That sounds like a good idea, actually," I said, nodding. She smiled wider and gave me a quick kiss, and that was that. It was as if a spark had been lit in her. She suddenly had a new spring in her step, a different energy about her. For a while it was just that, a routine. She'd head to the gym after work, come home tired but oddly exhilarated. She'd talk about her workouts and how Mike was helping her work on her form, pushing her to do better. "Mike, huh? Your personal trainer?" I asked one evening. "Yeah," she replied casually. "He's Lily's trainer too," she said. "He's really good at what he does." At first, I didn't think much of it. Mike was just a name, a person who existed solely within the boundaries of her gym routine. But over the next few weeks, the gym visits turned into long hours away from home. She'd spend nearly 2 hours at the gym, come home flushed, and sometimes I'd even notice faint red marks on her shoulders and neck. One night, when she was getting ready to shower, I saw a particularly large bruise, almost hidden under her shirt. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "Did you hurt yourself?" She jumped and quickly covered up. "Oh, it's nothing. Just a rough workout." The more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I felt. But she'd give me a kiss, tell me she was tired, and climb into bed. And every night, as I lay beside her, I found myself lying awake, plagued by a growing sense of dread. It wasn't just the gym. It was Lily. I didn't like her much. She'd been divorced twice, both times because she'd cheated on her husbands. She was a little bit promiscuous, but she and Emma had been friends since college, so there wasn't much I could do to keep them from hanging out. Over the past few months, though, Emma and Lily had been spending more and more time together, going out on girls' nights after the gym. I started suspecting that there was more to it than just working out and dinner dates with friends. I confronted her one night when she returned home late, her hair mussed up and smelling faintly of something unfamiliar. "Emma, do you really have to go out every night? You know, we hardly spend time together anymore." She looked at me, her face clouding over with frustration. "What are you saying, Chris? I need time for myself too. You know how bored I've been lately." I let it go, but my instincts were on high alert. One evening, Emma and I decided to go out for dinner and take a stroll around the neighborhood. It was nice, a break from the stress, a chance to enjoy some normal. As we walked down the street near my office, I noticed her, the woman from the restaurant, Melissa, standing outside the store, locking up for the night. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't noticed her. She worked at the little restaurant next to my office, and every time I walked by or stopped in for lunch, she'd flash me a smile. She was a little shy at first, but as the weeks passed, it became clear there was something more in her gaze. Her greetings were warm, always with a touch of extra charm, and she'd ask about my day, making small talk that felt increasingly personal. She was attractive, no doubt about it, dark eyes, an easy laugh, and the kind of confidence that could turn heads. But for me, that was where it ended. I loved Emma. That was never up for debate. So I brushed off the little flirtations, kept my responses friendly but brief. I didn't want to give her the wrong idea. Melissa looked up just as we passed, and her eyes landed on me. I gave her a polite nod and a quick hello, but didn't linger. "Oh, Emma," I said, remembering my manners. "This is Melissa. I come to this restaurant for lunch sometimes. She's the one at the cashier. Melissa, this is my wife, Emma." Melissa's face changed almost imperceptibly as she took in Emma's face. She froze for a second, her mouth slightly open, her eyes wide with something like surprise. But she quickly masked it with a smile. "Nice to meet you, Emma," she said, her voice friendly but a bit distant. Emma smiled politely, and we didn't stay for more than a moment before I excused us and led Emma further down the street. I couldn't help feeling relieved when we were out of earshot. It would have been awkward if Emma somehow picked up on Melissa's flirtations. That was the last thing I wanted to deal with right then. That night, after Emma had gone to bed, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I picked it up, frowning as I saw the message. "Hey, it's Melissa." I stared at the screen, feeling a surge of annoyance. Why was she contacting me now? And how had she gotten my number? I replied as politely as I could, asking her not to bother me. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. "Please, Chris, I really need to talk to you. It's important." The tone of her message gave me pause. There was a sense of urgency there, a seriousness I wasn't expecting. Against my better judgment, I texted back. "Fine. What is it?" She asked if we could meet in person, claiming it wasn't something she could say over the phone. I debated ignoring her entirely, but something in me wouldn't let it go. I had this feeling, an odd, uncomfortable feeling, that maybe I should hear her out. So I agreed, arranging to meet her at a nearby coffee shop the next day. The next day, I sat across from Melissa at the coffee shop, my fingers drumming against the table as I waited for her to speak. She looked nervous, her hands wrapped tightly around her cup. "I know this is strange," she began, her voice quieter than usual. "And I know you probably think I'm just some random girl trying to cause problems, but I needed to talk to you." I raised an eyebrow, waiting. "It's about Emma." I stiffened. "What about her?" She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Chris, I didn't realize who she was at first. But last week I saw her, at the gym, with Mike. I didn't think much of it until I noticed how close they were. And then, last night, when I saw her with you, I realized she was your wife." A cold sensation crept up my spine. "Melissa," I said, keeping my voice level, "I appreciate your concern, but whatever you're trying to imply—" "I'm not implying anything," she interrupted. "I'm telling you. I've seen them together, Chris. They don't act like trainer and client. It's more than that. I don't know if you've noticed, but people talk. And from what I've heard, Emma and Mike." I held up a hand, feeling the tension coil in my chest. "Stop." She looked at me, pity in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I just thought you should know." I stood up, my stomach twisting. "Thanks for your concern," I said stiffly before turning and walking out. I didn't want to believe it. I refused to. But as I drove home that night, my mind was a storm of doubt and fear. I had to know the truth. That night, Emma came home late again. I watched her as she walked through the door, her face glowing, her body language relaxed. She looked happy, too happy. "Good workout?" I asked, forcing a casual tone. She smiled as she kicked off her shoes. "Yeah. Exhausting, but so worth it." I nodded, my heart pounding. Do you mind if I come with you tomorrow? Her smile faltered. What? To the gym, I said. Maybe I should start working out too. Could be fun, right? She hesitated, just for a second. But it was enough. Chris, you hate working out. She laughed lightly. Besides, I like having some time for myself, you know? I forced a chuckle. Right. Of course. She kissed my cheek, and I felt the weight of her lie pressing between us. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, after she left for work, I made a decision. I was going to follow her. I parked a few spaces away from the gym, heart hammering as I watched the entrance. Emma arrived right on time. She walked inside, her bag slung over her shoulder. 15 minutes passed. Then 30. Then I saw him. Mike. He stepped out of the gym side door, glancing around before walking toward the parking lot. A moment later, Emma followed. She was laughing. Then, to my horror, she reached out and touched his arm, lingering a little too long. I clenched my fists. They got into his car, and they drove away together. I sat there, stunned. I had my answer. Emma was cheating on me. And now I had to decide what to do about it. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white as I watched their car disappear down the road. My chest felt tight, my breath coming in short, uneven bursts. I wanted to follow them. I wanted to see exactly where they were going, what they were doing. But deep down, I already knew. Emma was cheating. The woman I had built a life with, the woman I trusted more than anyone, was lying to me. My phone vibrated on the passenger seat. I glanced down. Emma, hey babe, just finished my workout. Heading home soon. Love you. My stomach twisted. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. She was lying to me in real time. Just minutes ago, she had gotten into another man's car, laughing, touching him. And now, she was texting me like nothing was wrong. I wanted to scream. Instead, I took a deep breath and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I needed more than just a suspicion. I needed proof. That night, Emma came home at her usual time, hair damp from a shower at the gym, her smile as bright as ever. I forced myself to act normal. How was your workout? I asked, my voice even. She stretched her arms above her head, yawning. Brutal, she groaned. Mike really pushed me today. I clenched my jaw. Yeah. She nodded, walking past me toward the kitchen. Yeah, but it's good. I feel stronger, you know? Anyway, I'm starving. What's for dinner? I watched her, my mind racing. She was good at this. Too good. How long had she been lying? How many times had she come home to me, pretending nothing was wrong? I needed to act. So the next day, I did something I never thought I'd have to do. I hired a private investigator. 2 days later, I met with him in a dimly lit cafe downtown. His name was Daniel Carter, mid-40s, sharp-eyed, the kind of man who had seen it all. You sure about this? He asked, stirring his coffee. I nodded. I just need the truth. Daniel studied me for a moment, then pulled out a small notebook. All right, he said. Give me the details. I told him everything. Emma's gym schedule, Mike's name, the moments that made my gut twist with doubt. Daniel scribbled notes, nodding along. I'll start tomorrow, he said. If there's something to find, I'll find it. I shook his hand, my stomach churning. Now, all I had to do was wait. 2 days passed. Then 3. By the 4th day, Daniel called. Meet me at my office, he said. We need to talk. My blood ran cold. I drove there immediately, my hands slick on the steering wheel. When I arrived, Daniel was waiting with a manila folder on his desk. Chris, he said, his face unreadable. I swallowed hard and sat down. "Tell me,"